Is it possible to stockpile important essentials and do it on a budget? We're going to tell you how to do that today. Hey, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. We raised 4 sons debt-free on an income which was consistently under the national U.S. average income. And along the way, we learned to spend less money and save more. Now tonight, we're going to talk about some things that we keep on hand at all times in our home. And a lot of these things, we've figured out how to find them without spending a lot of money. So if you have a really tight budget, hang in there because we're going to give you some tips and strategies that are going to help you along the way. And we're going to give you our list of the top 20 things you really need to think about having in the house. All right, the first thing on the list is...
toilet paper.
Yeah, because, 2020.
That was a great lesson in whether we really needed to have a little stockpile of that item. Fortunately, we had already put a few of those in the house, and we were all set when the shortages began.
Toilet paper.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not saying hoard it. I'm just saying
No.
have a good supply of it. Like a month for, when we talk about stockpiling, guys, we're not talking about end of the world, like zombie apocalypse. We're really not. When we talk about stockpiling, we like to have enough in our house for, 2 or 3 months. All right. So that's what we are talking about. So we are defining terms here.
We're talking about like 2 large packages that you would purchase at Sam's Club, having those on hand. We have 2 large packages sitting out in the garage.
That is an appropriate amount of toilet paper to stockpile.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is
soft soap. And we get the big refill containers. So you can just fill your soap containers that you have in your bathroom or in your vanities. And we keep plenty of that on hand so we don't run out.
So buy yourself a couple of those smaller dispensers, or better yet, wait for somebody to gift you at Christmas with a couple of those smaller dispensers, and just don't throw them away when they're empty. Just keep refilling them from the larger container because you really will save more money. Now, where do we get our larger containers? We get them at Big Lots, and we wait until Big Lots has a 20% off coupon. Then we go and we stock up on a couple of them, and it really is substantially less than buying all the little ones.
And I just find it nice to have some of these items on hand. You use them daily, you depend on them, and if you run out, you've got a little bit stored away in a cupboard, and you can refill it, and you're on your way.
Yeah. Okay. Laundry detergent. All right. So I told you a few months ago that I actually sometimes make my own laundry detergent. I've had some problems with some residue left in the bottom of the tub, and you all have been great and sent me in lots of suggestions and strategies for helping to deal with that problem. Sometimes you're going to have laundry detergent that you make on hand, and other times you're going to buy it. If you are more comfortable having commercially made laundry detergent on hand, the best deal that we have found to get it, like a big container, is to buy it at
Sam's.
Yeah, Sam's. And we like the Sam's brand. It's a pretty big, I don't know. It's a pretty big container.
Yeah, and it will last for several months, actually. That's a pretty good supply.
It'll last you a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Light bulbs is another good item to have. You never know when a light bulb is going to go out. Usually they go out at the least expected time. LED bulbs last a little longer, but they don't last forever. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that our local Sam's Club has done in conjunction with our local utility company is offered a package of 6 of these LED bulbs at an extreme discount, like 94 cents a package for 6.
$1.
So
for
I'll,
6 of them.
I'll pick up a couple of those packages, put them in the garage, and I got a cupboard where I keep light bulbs. So if we need some extra light bulbs, we've got some on hand in case we run out of some.
A couple other places we tell people to look on Black Friday weekend, so the weekend after Thanksgiving in the United States. you need to look in the Black Friday flyers, and inevitably we find like 4 packs of these for $1, like at Menards or Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those home improvement type stores. They are the ones that consistently, year after year, we have found LED light bulbs, a 4-pack for about $1 during that specific weekend. Now, the next place that people never think to look for LED light bulbs at a really good price, and Larry gave you a hint when he said the reason we found them at Sam's so inexpensively was because they had provided these in conjunction with our local utility company. You want to find light bulbs? Go to your utility company website and see if they have a marketplace on there where you can purchase items. When you purchase items through there, you get them at a discount, and oftentimes you get a rebate. So always become familiar with your utility company website. Hey, and you know what? If you want to know, speaking of utility companies, if you want to know, summer's coming really fast, and so the temperatures are going to go up, your utilities are going to go up. You want to know how we save on utilities in the summer? We did a video on it. I'm going to link it up above in the description of this video, and I'll give you some really great tips to get ready for summer temperatures.
Okay, so what is the next major item that we buy in bulk, Hope?
Vinegar. We always buy it in gallon jugs. We have found gallon jugs several different places. There's a regional food store in the Midwest called Gordon Food Service, GFS for short. They sometimes have really good prices on gallon jugs of vinegar. We've gotten it at Sam's before, and we've also gotten it very inexpensively at Big Lots, and it's for the gallon size jug. So look around, and we buy it by the gallon. Now, why? All right, how many salads are we going to make, right? Because that's what you immediately think. Vinegar, I use it to make, salad dressings and things like that. Well, believe it or not, vinegar is one of those things that is incredibly versatile. I'm going to tell you just a few ways to use vinegar. And I know you all are going to let me know in the comments that I have my notes here, that there's a lot of other things to do with vinegar. Of course, you can use it for cooking, right? You can also use vinegar for cleaning. We talked about this on a video when we gave 70 creative ways that we save money. Vinegar, and you can mix it with some essential oil. You can also put your citrus peels in there and let them sit for 30 days in kind of a cool, dark place, and you're creating this vinegar that is infused with the citrus oil. And the citrus has some like antibiotic properties to it, so it makes it great for cleaning. Soap scum remover. So it's a light acid. It's going to remove soap scum. Hair clarifying treatment. If your hair has been overly processed, or you have used some inexpensive shampoos that have left it so that it's like there's no shine to it, so you've got some residue of that on your hair. If you give it a good vinegar rinse in the shower before you get out, it rinses that off. It's incredible. Make your hair really shiny. Shiny hair. You can use it as weed killer. Yeah, natural weed killer.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it cleans stainless steel. You want stainless steel shiny surfaces? Use vinegar. It cleans your shower head. So for your shower head, you're gonna take a plastic bag and put some vinegar in the bottom of it, and then wrap that shower bag across the end of the shower head and use a rubber band to hold it up there. So basically, you're soaking the end of that shower head in the vinegar. Just leave it on there for 30, 45 minutes, take it off, wipe it clean, and it'll wipe right off. Right?
And what it's doing is it's dissolving the lime deposits and the calcium that builds up on your plumbing.
Vinegar, last thing we'll mention, and we really should do a video on the uses of vinegar because there are so many amazing things you can do with vinegar, and it is so dirt cheap. Glass cleaner. Vinegar and a piece of old newspaper. Clean your glass, your mirrors. Yep.
Yeah, and your windows.
Yep.
And then, of course, it's really good for cleaning out your coffee pot. What I do is I take
dissolves lime.
I'll take the coffee pot outside on the back patio. I'll put it on one of the tables because it can kind of smell up the house. And I'll run just a little bit through the coffee maker, unplug it, and let it soak for an hour or two to let that really dissolve the lime and calcium. And then start it up again, run that through, and then run another, pot through. And that, by the time you get done, you've got your coffee pot all cleaned out.
Yeah, and it's back again. It's like magic. Okay, the sixth thing that we keep on hand is inexpensive, and you can stock up on this even on a shoestring budget. That's baking soda. There's
tons of uses.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went off the top of my head, listed just a few of them just to give you an idea of why you need baking soda. Baking soda is great for heartburn. All right? Heartburn is excess acid, and baking soda is a base. It relieves heartburn. If you get a bug bite or a bee sting, you can use it. You mix it with a little bit of water, put it on there, and let it dry. It's a poultice. It pulls out poisons from those things. It reduces itching. You can use it for a mild sunburn. Put it across there. It will just relieve that kind of hotness from the sunburn.
And it reduces odors, like in shoes, refrigerators, the pantry, any place where you can get an odor buildup. It refreshes all that air.
You can make homemade deodorant using a baking soda as the base. You can brush your teeth with it. Larry does that all the time. He likes to use baking soda for his toothbrush. Oh. It's a light abrasive, so you can use it as a cleaner, like a soft soap kind of thing. And of course, you can cook with it. Just a few of the reasons why it's important to have baking soda on your pantry shelf as an essential. All right? And remember, all of these things, you can stockpile them. Now, we're not talking like enough for the end of the world. We're talking stockpiling for a few months' use. You can stockpile it on a really tight budget. This does not, none of the things we're going to talk to you about tonight cost a lot of money. All right, number 7.
Hydrogen peroxide, amazingly, has a shelf life of 3 years or thereabouts.
Yeah, if it's unopened, 3 years on your shelf. Now, we don't tend to buy huge containers of it because once you open it, it does start to deteriorate. So we find it more effective to buy the regular size bottles of hydrogen peroxide, and we get them once again at Big Lots, and we get them when we have a 20% off coupon. So you can look at Dollar Tree too and see if you can't find hydrogen peroxide. That would be a great place to look as well. So I think we pay, about 80 cents maybe for a regular sized container of hydrogen peroxide.
So it kills bacteria and viruses. It's good for cleaning, and it cleans grout. Did you know that it kills mold?
It does. It does all those things, guys. This is why in the midst of the pandemic, you couldn't find hydrogen peroxide anywhere. Because it was great for cleaning. It was one of the things that the government said, yes, use hydrogen peroxide. So everybody went out and bought hydrogen peroxide.
Now, you can use it to sanitize your toothbrushes, and you can also wash your produce with it.
Yeah, and you can clean your toilet with it, okay? So all of those things, hydrogen peroxide, love it. Here's what you have to remember, though. When you're using hydrogen peroxide, it is an acid. Wear gloves, because you won't feel it burning your hands until you are finished using said hydrogen peroxide. But wear gloves if you're going to use it. But it's a great cleaner.
Yeah. Another item it's really good to have on hand are batteries.
Yeah.
Now, I actually store some big 12-volt AGM batteries that we use for backup in our home in case we use electricity. If electricity goes out, I can power up our internet, power up a few of the LED lights using inverters. I have inverters taped to these.
Yeah.
But we're also, of course, talking about AA batteries and D cells that you might use in flashlights and so on. It's always good to have batteries on hand.
Now, one of the ways that we have found batteries in bulk, so we're talking like you buy one of those big packages of 15, 20 batteries, we have found them with a rebate. Like you buy the product at Office Depot, and usually it's during like Black Friday weekend or sometime around the Christmas season, because look, people buy a lot of batteries for like their kids' toys, so that makes perfect sense to sort of buy these batteries. They're on sale, and they'll go on sale at Office Depot. And if you have an Office Depot shopper's card, then they rebate you the whole price. So, and you have to spend that money, once again, back at Office Depot. They don't send you money. It's a store credit. But we have gotten a stockpile of batteries fairly effectively using that method of stockpiling batteries.
And the alkaline batteries can have a shelf life of from 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Unused.
Did you know that? Tell us in the comment section, did you know batteries lasted that long? Because I did not until I did the research.
Yeah. and the carbon zinc batteries can last from 3 to 5 years. So
Now
let's
we're going to
go
move
to food items.
Yeah, now we're going to move into some food items. Okay, these are items that are food related. So all of those that we just mentioned, so the first 8 items, those were kind of household related items. And we told you as we went along exactly where to look for those items at really great prices. Now we're going to do the same thing with 12 different food items that we like to have a goodly amount on hand. The first thing is
Grains.
yeah, grains.
Yeah, and we do stockpile quite a bit of grains.
So let's go through some examples and tell kind of what the shelf life is, because that's always the question people ask: how long are these things going to last on my shelf?
Well, rice is a real good item to have a little stockpile of. And
Now-
that would be white or brown rice.
Yeah.
Now, white rice lasts a little longer.
Yeah, that's a great actually thing to note, Larry, is that white rice, by virtue of the fact that it's had some of the nutrients stripped out of it, actually lasts longer on your shelf than brown rice. We keep both white and brown rice on hand in our pantry. Now, the reason we do that is because they have different different reasons we want to keep them, right? So brown rice has more nutrition, so we like to eat that more regularly than white rice. But if something happens and we're in an emergency situation and we're not going to go out to the store for a couple of months at a time, then it's good to have that white rice, because that white rice may have been on that shelf longer, but it can last longer.
It actually can last up to 2 years.
It can.
And brown rice will last about 6 months.
Yeah, brown rice does not last as long. Now, the other thing that we keep on hand that would be a grain would be millet. We love millet. Millet it's a grain. You can cook it. There's applications to eat it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I mean, really, it's very versatile. Has a nice nutty flavor. But millet notoriously has kind of a shorter shelf life. Millet's only going to last you about 6 months in the pantry. And so, I mean, we buy it in 25-pound bags, but we eat a lot of it. Now, if you want to keep that millet longer, seal it in a bag. And I mean, make sure it's sealed so no moisture gets in there. Otherwise, you're going to risk it rotting and developing some mold. But you can stick it in the freezer for up to a year.
Yeah. And then barley is another good grain. It has a shelf life of about 1 to 2 years, but it can mold. And so it can also get bugs. So you kind of have to monitor that a little bit, check on it, you know.
I've had bugs, and I've bought in bulk for years, guys. I've only had bugs a couple of times, and one of those times was in barley. It just seems very prone to getting bugs. So you need to make sure that you are keeping your barley sealed well and keep it in an area that is free of moisture. And now there's some barley, however, sitting on my shelf I've had there for a couple of years, and it's still perfectly fine. So it just kind of depends a little bit. Now, if you're wondering, how are you buying these things in bulk, and where are you even getting these things in bulk? We did a video on it, and I gave you lots of different places where you can look in your area or online to find great deals on bulk merchandise. And we even give you an example of what we bought. We show you a recent haul that we did to an Amish community near us, and show you each item and tell you what we paid for it. And so I'm going to leave a link to that video up above and in the description. All right, what's the next thing we buy in bulk?
Okay, the next item is dried beans. And we keep about 100 pounds of
There we do.
various types of beans on hand.
At least. It's probably more than that, but I estimated. Okay, shelf life of beans. USDA is going to tell you 2 years, but the truth is, it's not like beans go bad. Beans will, after a certain length of time, kind of get a little they'll wither a little bit, and they'll look kind of weird, kind of funny, but it's not going to hurt you to eat them. They're just going to look weird. So they actually last longer than that, but I think as far as eating them where they, look like a normal bean, then a couple of years.
Yeah, and so we keep lentils and pinto beans, kidney beans, white beans,
Black beans.
green. What is the green
split pea,
Split pea. Love split pea soup.
garbanzo beans.
Yeah, so there's so many different kinds of
yeah.
beans. You don't have to get tired of making just one or two varieties with soups. You can mix all these into your diet and have quite a variety of eating beans.
And that's part of the reason we tell you to keep it on the shelf. If you're in a position where you can't get out or choose not to go out, beans, A, give you lots of fiber, they give you lots of protein, and they are incredibly versatile. You can do so much with beans. And he just mentioned off the top of his head 5 or 6 kinds of beans he knows we keep in the shelf and on the pantry. So it's just a great thing to have on your shelf.
They're also filling, and they stay with you a long time.
They do.
Yeah.
All right, the next thing that we keep on our shelf.
Hot breakfast items, and we stock particularly 3 items of hot breakfast foods. So that would be cream of wheat. We buy that in 25-pound bags, and we also stock rolled oats, and we'll buy that in 50-pound bags. And then we stock the split, what is it?
Steel cut oats.
That's it, steel cut oats. And we'll get those in, 25-pound or 50-pound bags. Yeah. We go to an Amish store. I mean, we'll just give you a little insight.
Just getting ready to say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
where do we get them cheap?
We have a local Amish store. I think it's about, 40 miles away or something like that.
Yeah.
We drive
Takes
to.
us an hour bumper to bumper. It's our date day. Although the kids are so excited to go there, they've been going with us the last couple of times.
Well, we have found a lot of other items there besides beans, but Hope will call ahead of time and make sure that they have these items on hand. They'll set them aside for us, so when we come in, they're ready for us. And they have a lot of other, of course, they have their cinnamon rolls are to die for. They're so good. And other items that they'll have in their refrigerator that are a little past their expiration date, really good items. So we've picked up a lot of almond milk and different things from the store as well. So
now, to give them an idea of what we pay for these things, 50-pound bag of oats, 50 cents a pound. 50-pound bag of, and this is what we paid 6 months ago. We haven't been there for a while. So we'll tell y'all, when we make another trip, we'll film it and we'll show you what we get. So this is as of 6 months ago. We got a 50-pound bag of the steel cut oats. We paid 50 cents a pound. And we did get, I think we got 40 pounds of the cream of wheat because our older boys love cream of wheat. So they take some of our extra cream of wheat. And I think we paid about 38 cents a pound, 40 cents a pound for the cream of wheat. So that gives you an idea of the savings, the tremendous savings. You can get up to 75% savings just by buying something in bulk.
Mm-hmm. So that covers the breakfast items. The next item is fruits and vegetables. And these will usually be either frozen. Well, most of these are frozen, aren't they? The fruits and vegetables.
Look, sometimes it's frozen or it's fresh fruit or vegetables that I find a tremendous deal on. So a lot of times if you go to farmers markets and you create a relationship, a genuine relationship, a friendship with some of the farmers there, they'll tell you, hey, you're one of my regular customers. If you want 10 pounds of this or you want a bushel, a basket of this, you want this, I'll bring it next week to the farmers market and here's what I will charge you for it. The other place that we get fruits and vegetables in bulk, fresh fruits and vegetables, is our local favorite ethnic store, the Mediterranean Mart. And once again, we became friends with the owners. We've been going in there for so long, like we're genuinely friends now. And he'll say, hey, you want 50 pounds of this? Let me know. He talked me into buying an entire case of Kusa squash, you guys. It was 75 squash, and I think I paid $15 for the whole case. So it was like 33 cents a squash. But man, you take the inside of those babies out and you stuff it with some rice that's seasoned with some mint and stuff like that, and you put it in there and you cook it in some tomato sauce. I am telling you, good stuff. All right.
Then there's, of course, canned items, and we'll stock up a little bit on different canned goods.
And I should mention before we go on to the next point that these fresh items that I buy, if we can't use them up before they rot, because I don't know, I'm sure I've mentioned this before on the program, but we have a written family food waste goal of 3%. So our goal is to waste no more than 3% of the food that comes into our home. So if we know we're not going to use it up before it goes bad, then we find a way to preserve it. And most often I don't can, guys, and my hat is off to those of you that do. I have canning supplies, and I have canned in the past. I can. But most often I prefer to freeze items, or I do have an Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator, which I absolutely love. In fact, I'll leave an Amazon link to that dehydrator in the description of the video as one of our recommended products, because I feel so strongly it's such a great product. But I do quite a bit of dehydrating as well. So when I find these things at that tremendously low price, they're either used or they're preserved, one of the two. Right, what's the next thing we get?
The next thing we get are canned items, and that would be beans, fruits, veggies. We'll, once again, usually get these at big lots when they have their 20% off sale, and we'll stock in as many as 20 cans of each item. She also gets a lot of canned tomatoes. And so we'll have those on hand. A lot of times you can get those with no salt added, so a little healthier kind of a situation than what you normally get. And she'll have that on hand just in case we need something kind of quick to make for supper.
Now, one of the other places we do tend to find these items to stock up on is at regular supermarkets. We have Hy-Vee in the Midwest. We also have Kroger. And these sales, we've talked a little bit about sales, how to use store flyers and how to really shop the sales well. And one of the things I explained was that sales are cyclical. So once you see beans on sale, they'll put them down for like 35, 38 cents a can. And if there's no limit, I might go in and buy a case of them, which is 12 of the cans. And I'll mix and match the cans of different kinds of beans on there. And I might buy a couple of cases even, depending on how many I need back in my pantry. And you're buying them for 35, 38 cents a can. So once I find them at that low price, I'm going to stock up, knowing that with cyclical sales, those sales cycle around again, either every 8, 10, or 12 weeks. And with canned goods, it's usually every 12 weeks. Okay,
so the next category of items that we stock up on are baking supplies. We've mentioned one of them already, and that's baking soda.
We also have baking powder. And guys, are you with me? We really like cocoa, like baking cocoa, because Larry's got to have his little hot chocolate like in the wintertime. He's definitely, if I haven't made it for a while, he won't ask. No, he'll have one of the boys come ask if I will make some hot cocoa. But I know it's really Larry asking for the hot cocoa. So we usually buy cocoa in 5-pound bags. And we get those 5-pound bags of cocoa from GFS. That's Gordon Food Service, and it's a regional grocery store. And so that's generally the least expensive place that we can find it, and they just stopped carrying it. We were in there the other day, and they said, we're not carrying it anymore. I was like, shoot. So that river dried up, guys.
That happens a lot. We'll have a nice river dry up, and then we have to look for another river. So we'll have to look for another source of supply. You can get some kind of cheap from Aldi's. It's a pretty small container. It doesn't last very long.
Not for us, it doesn't.
No.
What I am going to do, though, guys, I'm going to check with the Amish store. So you'll know. If you see us go shopping in Amish country and show you all of our haul, and there's cocoa in there, you'll know I got it for a really good price.
Oh, yeah.
Baking cocoa, by the way, unopened on the shelf, 3 years is the lifespan of cocoa. Baking soda, infinite shelf life. It doesn't go bad. It does lose a little bit of its potency, so you might have to use a little more, but it doesn't go bad. That's why it's one of those things I'm like, stock up, keep it on your shelf. Where do we get it in bulk? You can get it at a store that sells baking supplies. You can also get it at Sam's in big bags, and we're going to check the Amish store. It's like that's our fallback. And when we can't find something where we used to get it at a reasonable price, then we're going to check with the Amish store.
And then, of course, flour is another item, and that has about a what is it, a year in the pantry and 2-year shelf life in the freezer.
Right. Now, if you're going to put something in the freezer, once again, it has got to be really well sealed so moisture doesn't get in, and it needs to be labeled. Because trust me when I tell you, everything looks the same after it's been in the freezer for a while.
Okay, so the next item, major item, would be pasta. And pasta has a shelf life of 2 years.
And pasta is one of those cyclical sales. I pay about 50 cents per pound of pasta. I buy it in the smaller boxes, but when it goes on sale, I stock up.
Corn tortillas, they hold up really good. We got a case of those at the Mediterranean Mart that she mentioned. Once again, he'll go and find deals for us. But he gave us a case of those. I can't remember what we paid, but we froze them. And now I take those to work. I'll have a few a day. And so I'll take a package down there and put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw out, and eat those.
Now, I have a grain mill, so I buy wheat kernels and grind those whole wheat kernels in order to make flour. Wheat kernels last for decades if they are properly stored, and you can get those in bulk bags.
How do you store them? Don't you store those in those 5-gallon white buckets that have that real nice seal on the top? That's a good way to store those. They'll really last a very long time in those.
We keep a good variety of condiments on the shelf, and we usually have 3 or 4 bottles, boxes, or jars of these condiments. What condiments do we keep?
Well, the common condiments would be ketchup, soy sauce, liquid smoke, yellow mustard, and Dijon mustard. So we keep a little bit of all those things back in the pantry.
And the most important of those to Larry is
mustard. I love mustard on just about everything.
Mustard, you guys.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing we keep on the shelf at all times, and remember, these are all frugal, they're all essential, and you can stock up on all of them on a tight budget. Herbs and spices. Herbs and spices don't really go rancid. They don't go bad. They lose potency. Yes, they do. After 6 months to a year, they're going to lose potency, but they're not going to go bad, and you can buy them in bulk.
Mm-hmm. Sweeteners, like maple syrup. We love just pure maple syrup. And we've been able to get that through Sam's, but I guess you have another source for that as well in bulk. We haven't bought it in bulk. We buy the quart jars, but we may try this other source.
I got a lead from one of my frugal friends, guys. She just told me that there's a store about 30 minutes from here that sells a big gallon jug, and it's cheaper per ounce than Sam's or Costco when you buy a gallon jug. So. Yeah, so look at it at stores where you can buy it in bulk. Now, one of the other sweeteners we use
is honey. Now, of course, honey will get it'll get kind of sugary. It'll have that foggy look to it. That can always be warmed up. You can warm the bottle up, boil some water on the stove, and put it in there for a few minutes, and that will dissolve that back and restore it to its original consistency.
Both of those are pure, natural sweeteners, and they do not go bad. We want to know, what would you consider to be your list? This is our list of our top 20 essential items that are frugal, that are inexpensive, that you can still stock up on even if you're living on a tight budget. We want to know, what is important to you? What did we miss on our list? And what is in your pantry? Tell us in the comments section of this video, because we love to learn from you. If you want to know more about what is in our pantry, we actually did a 3-part series on Frugal Friday tips, all about pantries and how to make sure that you can stock up and you know what you should have in your pantry and how to do that for a very, very inexpensive price, how to do it on a shoestring budget. Listen, I'm going to leave a link to that playlist in the description of this video so you can watch it when you're done here. But there's something that I actually offered our viewers on that series of programs, and I want to make sure that I offer it to you today. It's a free resource. It is a pantry stock up workbook. It has been incredibly popular with our viewers, and it is yours absolutely free. I'll leave a link in the description of the video where you'll be sure to find it, and you can request your copy for free. Be sure to like this video before you take off. Leave us your thoughts in the comment section about what you have in your pantry, what you consider to be essentials, and maybe what we missed in our list. Be sure that you request that free ebook before you take off.
Okay. Now, you need to move a little closer to me. Let's see.
When it comes to
Whoa. I wasn't rolling then. Now I'm rolling. Now I'm rolling. I'm going to stop rolling. Okay, wait. We're going to start this over.
Sorry. Sorry. Well, we're going to talk about those terms and whether you actually can do both of those things.
This is a radio that my mom and dad bought on their honeymoon in Chicago in 1941. They bought it at Allied Radio, and it still works. And this is their wedding picture. This was taken on August 28, 1941.